Hi everyone, today I wanted to share an automation that I use for my YouTube channel, because whenever you stop recording, this is not really the end of the work. You have to still work on the thumbnail, on the description, on the meta tag, social media posts, and there is a lot of work actually. That scattered busy work kills momentum, creativity, and the one thing that actually grows your channel, consistent high quality publishing. That's why I built a personal AI assistant that does the tedious repetitive work for me. It watches my footage, finds the hooks, suggests thumbnails, generates accurate timestamps, writes a ready-to-pod description optimized for search, and even drafts a social media copy, so I stop wasting time on admin and get back to recording. In this video, I'll show you the exact pipeline, the prompts, and the templates I use, and a real demo where raw footage becomes a publish-ready video. If you hate editing hassle and want systems that actually free you to create, this one is for you. Let's dive in. Alright, so let me walk you through the whole process and explain you how it actually works. So first of all, whenever I record a video, I need to submit this video from my Google Drive to my editor. So that's why I will usually have a separate folder created for a specific video. For example, in this case, let's call it YouTube SMM. And for this folder, I will need to upload a video. So I'm going to take this file, I'm going to upload to this folder. And once this file is uploaded, my video editor can actually take that file. That's one thing. And the other thing is we're going to trigger an event. So basically, I'm going to execute a workflow and it tasks me for unique folder ID. So I'll need to go create a new folder, grab the folder ID, insert the folder ID right in here and upload the file to that folder so that, my video editor can actually access that file. So then what's going next is basically this guy actually goes and searches for the file. Essentially, it finds a single file in that folder. It is actually in MP3 format. Yes, that's not MP4 format, and I'm gonna get back to this one just at the end of this video. So if you want to figure out why there is MP3 file, not MP4 file, stay tuned until the end. All right, so and then this guy actually downloads the file, and as we can see, it has downloaded the file. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use 11 Labs Scribe V1 model, and I have a separate video of how you can use it for analyzing different calls in the call center and how we can deploy it. Basically here, what it does, it uses Scribe V1 model to transcribe all the text that we have. So here I got the data, the name of the previous node, and the language code is set to English because I mostly record videos in English, and it basically transcribes the whole video. So it gives us two types of outputs. First is the whole text. This is basically plain text. And the second is basically an array of collections of different key value pairs, where it shows whichever word or spacing or, annotation I've used at a specific single period of time and basically what it was. So for example, here I said the word so at 0.44 until 0.7. I'm not sure what is the notation. Those are not seconds or milliseconds. I'm not sure what exactly is the notation here, but basically this is how it works. So you can kind of get it. So this is what happens here, and then when we go to the code node, basically I ask ChatGPT to write me a quickly single code node that will go and actually unify all those words, because I don't want to use the plain text. And the reason of this is because I want to have this AI to actually prepare the timestamps for me, but the timestamps need actually timing where I say what. So that's why here, for example, we've got a specific timing where I say what, but those words are actually split. So every single word is split to a certain period of time that I've been talking about it. And that's why we have a quick code node that's basically will take this data and will transform this data into a readable format. And if we go back right in here, we get chapters text. It says exactly, it splits the text by sentences and by timestamps. So for example, 0000, I start with this sentence and then I keep with the next sentence from 11 seconds and so on and so on. So we got a long text here, right? This is the whole video of me speaking. That's why it's very convenient, because we can split it by time actually and seconds, and that way we can access it really easily. Okay, and what happens next basically, once we have this text of the video, what we're gonna do next is we're gonna use this content of the video to generate titles. So essentially, not always you actually need to see what's going on, because I'm actually speaking what I'm doing. So not always specifically for AI, it needs to actually see what's going on. And in order for it to see, this is like a much more hustle. And for such things like, generating titles and descriptions, the content that I'm speaking through is totally enough. You should not really overkill the thing here. So that's why what I'm doing all over in here, I'm passing the timestamps of my video and the content I was speaking about to generate different titles. So here we got, and by the way, here I have all the OpenAI notes. I don't have AI engine notes, and I really like them because you can pretty much, well, in this case, you can split system user, but you can also add the assistant and user message pairs. At some point, actually, I've never used it in this scenario, but I think having this option is really great, specifically in some cases. So I used OpenAI node for that. So here we get the idea of how my system prompt actually looks, and for the user prompt, I basically pass all the timestamps that I have. And for this case, I'm actually using O3 model. And I really like the O3 model, apart from, GPT-5. I guess, I don't know, GPT-5, as much as I've been testing and playing with it lately, I just keep liking it less and less. And I'm not sure, maybe it's different with you guys, so please leave your comment below if that's different for you, because I think I'm switching back to 4.1. I'm switching back to O3. I'm not using GPT-5 model family models. I don't know. So basically here we generates me different titles. As you can see here, it not only generates a single title, it actually generates the summary, generates me the reasoning, it actually generates also scoring. There are a lot of comments for this one. And this guy will exactly extract 12 titles, because there are plenty of ideas that it generates. But if I need just to use a single one, that's basically what I need to do, is basically need to take a single title, and it will also prioritize the title from the best to the least best. Okay, so this is what's going on here. 12 titles and a lot of argumentations going here. And by the way, another key point here that I wanted to mention that I found actually recently, that instead of using the structured output parser right on this node and asking it to generate 12 titles, it is actually much better to split into two nodes, because this node, especially with a model like O3, it will reason through the steps to actually generate you the output, and the quality of the output is much better. Because if I just go with this node and say generate me just 12 titles, it will have an option just to generate basically 12 titles. It will not have an option to reason through, just because of the structured output that we specify. And just because we give it more, it kind of generates its own context to kind of think about this problem. The quality of the output is much better. So instead of just going with a single node saying, hey, this is what I need you to do, here's the structured output. First of all, ask it to generate a specific reasoning for that, and then come up with a solution, and then use another node to actually extract what you actually need as a variable for the next nodes. All right, so this is goes for the titles, and we got some catchy titles, by the way. For example, manual quality assistance or assurance versus AI workflow, 49 versus 2 minutes to grade calls. Very nice. This is a potential title for my previous video, so if you haven't watched that, it will be somewhere here. Go and watch it. It's really nice. So next, what we're going to use is we're going to ask it to generate descriptions. And again, in order to generate descriptions, basically there is a longer thread, and in terms of like a prompting, but what is really more important, I actually fitted my previous descriptions that I have. And I think here I got example A, B, example C. I guess that's basically it. Oh, we got example D as well. So we got 4 examples of my previous descriptions that I've used for my videos. And this is really important because it actually learns from the description. The only difference here that I don't ask it to generate is the timestamps. So as you can see here, place timestamps here. I separate this node, and this is because it will be too much for a single kind of agent to generate the timestamps to kind of understand it, and also generate the whole description. Well, I guess at least I see this as a little bit overwhelming work, so I want to separate this into 2 separate parts. So this guy will generate everything with kind of this thing in it, And then one we're gonna use another one is to generate the timestamps. So basically this guy, what it solely does, it basically generates the timestamps. And again, here we have a very simple Simpson prompt. Your job is to understand what they're talking about. You should convert general topics and generate timestamps. That's basically what it needs to do. And I gave 4 or 5 examples of how I did it in the other videos, so that we have the consistent style and it's basically the same. And I pass it a video transcript. So this guy actually generates the transcript. And then we have a third node that will basically extract the kind of description from the first description generator and the timestamps from the second one. Okay, so as you can see here, we got manual call, 49 minutes, blah, blah, blah. And we got the timestamps in the very middle, basically that comes from the previous agent right in here. Okay, then we got, oh, and by the way, here I don't have, again, not many prompting here. Is basically, I want you to only extract the description, and that's basically it. And I ask it to output this as a JSON. And once again, now here I want to click output content as a JSON so that we have structured format, and then we can use this description in our final report. Okay, the next one is tags generator. So this was kind of a really simple one. I basically tell it what it needs to do. I give it a few examples and it needs to generate me 500 tags to kind of boost SEO of my video, and that's what it does basically. I think that's really good one, and not gonna stay here for more. Thumbnail advisor, I think it would be nice also to have a few suggestions of what you would need to what kind of text you would need to put on the slide or in a thumbnail for your video. So that would be nice to have things so that I can quickly send it to my, again, editor, graphic designer, basically saying, hey, you need to place this thing, so I don't need to actually waste my thinking time on that. And then the next one, the last one, is basically a social media marketing, is basically a post for Facebook and LinkedIn. We start with a LinkedIn, and once again, it's pretty simple flow here. I fed it a lot of previous posts. Here is my kind of general rules that I ask it to follow, task context, examples, and I give it a lot of examples of my previous posts. Once again, I think it was 5 examples that 5 examples of my previous posts that I've made with my videos in the specific structure, so it kind of can expire in my style and do the same thing right in here. And it actually does really good job. We're gonna see the final output just in a moment. And here we have the one for the Facebook. Well, the difference is for the Facebook, actually, I posted in Russian language. And that's why, again, for this agent in particular, I have all the instructions in Russian language. So it follows them and it generates me the post in Russian. And then basically the final thing I do, I create a document and I save this document in the same folder. The reason so is that my video editor can always also access that folder and see what kind of I'm talking about in my social media about this video, so we can edit it in a more structured, better format, I guess. And as we can take a look here, I've got a titles. So basically for updated document, actually, I follow a specific structure. I need to make sure I insert in the body part, and then basically we go with different titles that I put 10 titles here. We do have motivation, then I put description, then I put tags, then I put thumbnail suggestions, LinkedIn posts, Facebook posts. Basically all the information we got from the agents, we just structure in one single document, so we have a whole write-up on a YouTube video. So we got different titles. So here we go. We can use this one and we can use it for A/B testing as well. You can select whichever you like. Here is the motivation. So basically, I do have a motivation for my titles because titles and thumbnails are probably one of the most important things. That's why here for the titles, we have more examples. We have the auto scoring that it places on each of the title examples. So this is why I probably want to brainstorm a little bit more sometimes on the title ideas. That's why I will leave it right in here instead of just outputting 10 best titles and that's it. Then we have the video description that I'm gonna just copy paste and put just right down right down below my video. The only difference here is probably this is like a lot of text. I would want to split this into kind of separate paragraphs or more easier sentences. I'm not sure. I probably have to play with this one a little bit more. I'm not sure why it's such text heavy, especially in the first part. And then we got our timestamps. Then we got the resources and links that I usually use. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Well, also the difference in an interesting that instead of just putting in my LinkedIn, it actually uses the UTM says YouTube and kind of a longer link for this one. Actually, it works. And if we go and check this one real quick, I guess it should work. Yeah, it does work, but I'm not sure why it uses the longer version instead of just this one, because this one should work as well. And okay, and then we got the primary, need this in your call center, email us. Secondary, like the bill, hit subscribe, never miss an automation. And then we got a couple of hashtags at the end. So I think that's pretty nice description for me. Then we got some tags. They should be up to 500 words, I guess. Should be around this number. And then we got the suggestions for the thumbnail, which I really like. And this suggestions for this thumbnail actually relevant to the first title. Once again, if as you can see here, 49 and 2 minutes. And this reflects the first title, 49 versus 2 minutes. If you're going to use the second title, well, it might actually work or might be actually misleading sometimes, because 49 and 2 is not mentioned. So you need to figure out what this is about. So basically what I made it to make it for the first video title. All right, and then we got the basic other descriptions. Now we got the LinkedIn posts, which is short and very much split and sort of in my style, I should say. And then we got a Facebook post in Russian language, exactly the way it is. Actually, the Russian language post is much shorter, and I guess that's because previously I had it just shorter, and it kind of leaves this for the link that I can place on. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Instead of previously I used to go and ask every single no, basically write a prompt from scratch every single time for titles, brainstorm different titles, then do this for description, for the tags, for the thumbnail, then generate different posts. That would take a lot of time for me. So instead, right now I can pretty much have the ready results that might need kind of a tiny bit of editing. Well, you have to, of course, reread it and make sure that kind of sounds like you. But I already have pre-fed that a lot of data about my previous examples of posts and social media and kind of, how I actually speak. So this actually nails down to kind of my style. But again, we still want to leave human in the loop. So want to make sure that, I'm going to read this, make sure that sounds fine, and just going to post it from my account. So yeah, that actually how it works. And if you want this scenario for your builds or for your videos or YouTube automations, I will leave the link down in the description to this template. So go download it and use it for your own purposes. Just want to make sure use your own examples of your posts, because I've actually added all the posts that I do myself into the system prompt. So you'll need to exchange that into your language, into your kind of style and tone, add your examples, and then you're gonna be just fine. All right, and then I promised to get back to you why I was actually using MP3 format over MP4 format. And the reason actually is depicted on the right hand side. It basically says that N8N doesn't have enough memory to process such large files. So whenever I added a file right in here, if we look back closely right in here, it's actually in MP3 format. And the only manual part is left here is transforming MP4 to MP3. The reason of this is because N8N, I'm actually on a cloud service right now, and it only allows you to store like files up to 300 megabytes, I guess. You can also self-host N8N on web hosting, and you can expand this threshold to like a couple gigabytes or even like 4 or 8 gigabytes. But I'm actually recording my videos in 4K, and those videos can actually weigh more than 10 gigabytes at sometimes. And this will actually cost some money to actually process it either on a self-hosting server or to use online converters that will convert your MP4 file to MP3, because they would usually have their certain limits. And if you want to process files of a certain size, you'll need to pay some premium. So that's why what I did is I found this guy on GitHub that has provided some Python code that we can use to transform the files from MP4 to MP3. And this is basically the only manual work that is left here. So whenever I go to this one and I need to transform a file, basically this is the code. And again, I can leave this code down in the description as well, so you guys can use it. And this is, again, free to use. There is a GitHub repo that you can check out. And whenever I run this one, it's gonna pop up such icon again, and I'm gonna select, for example, I'm gonna take this video, I'm gonna just click convert MP4 to MP3, and this is the only kind of manual part that is left here. So this guy actually takes the time to finalize the transformation. Once you click OK, you can exit, and basically that file that appears right in here that you will need to upload straight to your Google Drive. Again, this final file is about 17 megabytes instead of being like a few gigabytes, so it's much lighter, and you can use it, with other models like 11 Labs models. It will not weigh that much, will not consume that much of resources, and it's just easier. So I'm not actually paying for this one. You don't need to pay for this service. It's totally free of charge. But again, the drawback of this is that I still need to do this manually. Of course, if you have some coding background, you can actually make this automated within the VS Code and your N8N scenario. But as for this video, I'm gonna leave it separate so that just keep in mind, this is like a still manual part that is left. And on N8N, you basically, once you upload that MP3 format that you have transformed with your hands, basically, then you can go and automate this scenario from here. Alright, and that's how I stopped the endless busy work and turned footage into publish-ready videos without burning time on the small stuff. If you want the exact prompts, templates, and the automation flow I use, grab the links down in the description below. Tell me in the comments if you found it useful. Like this video if this helped you, subscribe for weekly AI automation, and catch you in the next one.